lover. I got to do this all over. Of the welcome, Harry. Welcome to episode 15 of DJ Center Stage TV. I'm Jim Collins. He was a club DJ in the 80s and turned to wedding DJ entertaining for 33 years. He hails from New Haven and is a member of the CPDA in ADJA and a lover of entertaining and delighting. Welcome, Harry Gambardella, to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
We have some awesome stuff to cover today for DJs. But before we do, Harry, let's talk about your start as a club DJ and how you ended up shifting to weddings.
I started out as a bar back in a nightclub in Hamden called Daniel's. Probably turned into a Staples, and now I think it's a Walgreens or something. As a bar back, like I said, and I used to hear the great songs that they had out back then, and I started buying 12 inches. They used to have Record Town in New Haven. So I would make $30 a night and spend 20 of it on music. And used to be mesmerized by the guys up in the booth. It was just, I never saw anything like it. Just, you know, club guys behind glass. But the music that they were playing was really incredible. So I used to be sort of like a groupie to them. You know, anytime I was not working, I would try to, you know, crash my way up into the booth that was locked and just watch them and learn. And used to bring a Y-Jack with me and used to tap into their headset and start listening to how they were setting up the mixes. And they were like rock stars to me. And strangely, one night, make a long story short, they had a place called Backstage, another little mini club behind the main club where they had private parties. And one day the manager comes up to me and goes, you can't wash glasses tonight. The DJ, he didn't show up for our private party. You got to do it. I go, what? I never even knew how to turn on a, you know, turntable other than watching.
No pressure.
So I said, you know, I don't have any records with me. They go, oh, there's plenty back there. So it was like, I think the first record I ever played was Frank Sinatra, probably Summer Wind or something. And I got through it, you know, and it was like, oh my God, this is, you know, in my small world, that was like the being a rock star. It was just amazing.
So you played Frank Sinatra. What type of an event was this that you played this at?
Believe it or not, I think it was a stag party or bachelor parties.
Okay.
Just a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
And just playing background music.
That's
and
cool.
They saw that I could mix. You know, I learned how to mix and did some clubs. And then I worked my way into weddings, strangely, because I was looking for a DJ for my wedding, probably about 1989.
Oh, okay.
I walked into one of those big wedding companies looking for a DJ for our wedding and hit it off with the manager owner. And he said, you know, you got a good personality. You might make a good wedding DJ. And I go, wedding DJs, those guys are lame. I'm a club guy, you know. I thought I was all that. But weddings were, they hired me and trained me, and weddings were much more challenging and much more rewarding, and I fell in love with it. So, long answer to a short question.
No, that's great. That's great. It's nice to hear the transition from moving from club DJ to wedding DJ is very different in that shift. So
it was.
I created a Facebook group, and that's called Connecticut DJ Venue Setup, as you know. Now, this is a closed group that you have to be approved to join, and it's just for DJs and MCs. So the idea of the group is to allow DJs to be able to see video footage of the inside and outside of venues in Connecticut. And this way, if you have never been to a room, or if distance is a factor, or if you're just curious where and how other DJs set up at venues you have performed, then you have this resource. So I chose Harry as the page admin because he was generous to post a bunch of videos, really cool stuff inside and outside the venues that he's performed at. So first, you know, thanks so much for that.
You're welcome.
It's funny, when I first created the group, it was just called DJ Venue Setup, and it wasn't focused state by state. My friend Keith Allen, who is my wedding DJ, was like, why the heck would I need setups for DJs who perform outside of Connecticut, like in Utah or Kansas, you know? And he raised a very good point. So,
yeah.
So here it is, folks. I mean, I created a DJ Venue Setup page for every single state.
Wow.
Yeah, so So the one that has the best content right now is the Connecticut one, because frankly, you know, you're adding a lot of content there. I've shared quite a bit.
Right.
Aaron Demarest has Kenny Q. Get an inside look beforehand, because people, let's face it, you know, you may live on a completely opposite end of Connecticut and have to travel a great distance. So if you could get this content to get an idea about it, sure, you have floor plans and other things too, but then you get an eye view of the actual inside of the venue. It's nice. So I think this site is really the best content right now. And just because people don't know about the other ones or don't understand the concept of what you're supposed to do and how to contribute to it. So that's why we're explaining this here. Get in contact with me if you'd like to be a group admin for any of the other states, and I'll definitely, you know, hook you up. What we're going to do today actually is take a look inside Connecticut DJ Venue setup. So here's a shot of that. Take a look. Connecticut DJ Venue Setup, the Facebook group for DJs and MCs looking for video footage of venues to help better understand setup logistics, combining video footage of the various venue locations inside and outside to take the guesswork out of setting up for events. Harry, why don't you talk about this particular video that you took?
I believe I started taking it in the middle of setting up, or maybe I was done. I'm not sure.
And where was this?
This was at the Society Room in Parker.
All right. So
this is the only door that you can walk in. There's the side alley. For an entertainer or any kind of delivery folks, I think we have to use this one door. And it's a little bit of a challenge because you have to kind of go up and through the doorway.
Yeah.
Like, forgive me for the bad video there.
It's good. It's good to just see this. So
You don't want to take a left there. And then you go through a little doorway here. And this brings you into a sort of a foyer where my assistant hopefully opens the door because I locked myself out. There you go.
That happens a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we put a photo booth in there and I'm all about conserving space and time. You know, anything I could do to lightweight. I put the photo booth out there and used the fireplace for the backdrop.
Right.
And then, wow, this is puts just some basic uplighting. I try to keep things basic. You know, flood the whole room with uplights. I just don't want to carry it, and I think sometimes less is better.
So this is interesting. I'm seeing where you're set up, and that's typically where I set up when I'm in this room. But I know, like, I've seen pictures on their site of right there, like DJ's center of the dance floor there as another setup. And I'm like, why can't I set up there? You know?
Yeah.
It just seems perfect because you're kind of front and center of the dance floor. But
it would make more sense. Yeah, I never thought of that. You know, see, you made me think. I just assumed that, you know, we set up by the bar.
Right. And that's, like I said, I mean, that's where I am all the time. So here's another one. And let's see where this is. Yeah, good question.
New Haven Country Club.
Okay.
Actually in Hamden.
Yep.
God, why I work all the cold days.
It's all the cold days, yeah. Right.
So there's a little bit of a challenge too. You got to kind of cut around that bend there.
Mm-hmm.
Put some lighting in the buffet area.
Yeah.
I just recently upgraded to the wireless DMX lighting, which makes my life a lot easier.
Oh, so you don't have to go around with a remote and turn them on to dance mode.
Yeah, and this is just very, again, I try to keep it simple.
Yeah.
With my setups.
Hmm.
You know, I'll use a facade occasionally, but this is a nice room. This is the first time I ever worked. Have you worked this room?
I have, yeah.
Yep. I've never set up in that area. It's always been, there's another dance floor on the other end of the venue.
Yes, that's right.
So this was a small party, about 50, 60 people. Mm-hmm. Post-holiday party, bunch of doctors.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect location right there. Yeah, left and right of the guests, and so. Yeah,
I was never a trust carrying totem carrying guy. Although I love those kind of setups, it just never seemed to invest in it.
Very cool. Very cool. Awesome.
Yeah, all right. It's a nice room. I like this place too.
It is awesome.
I like, you know, it's sort of nostalgic. I keep saying nostalgic, but it's so nice to see venues that you haven't been to in a long time. Like I hadn't been there in probably 4 years. And it was so
Okay.
cool to walk back in. You know, it's like you feel like you're visiting an old friend.
That's interesting. You can see Harry shared so much content here, and others have contributed as well. So this is a valuable resource. And what did you like about this, Harry?
I thought it was a great resource because as many years as I've been doing this, there's still many venues that I go to that are new to me. And you walk in, I mean, the first thing I do is I park, and I just, before I bring anything in, I have to walk in to figure out what door I'm going to get into. And a lot of times the venues aren't even aware of where the DJ, what the best place is for them to walk in through. So I kind of get the lay of the land, and it takes some time. You know, you got to figure out equipment needs. Where's the plugs? Do you have a table? So if I could somehow make it easier for the next guy that's going to go to that venue, you know, he may see something, or she may see something on the video and say, oh, I didn't know that I needed a wireless speaker in their cocktail lounge. I thought it was right there. Or I need to run 50 feet of cable because there's no plug for the ceremony system. Or there is no wire, electricity. You know, it's a very helpful site. I just wish more folks would get on there, and even in the other states, and put more content. It can only help. And it makes you look good too, that you're trying to help other people. So.
Yeah. And I mean, there's plenty of times where you show up at a venue too. If it's the first time you've been there, and as you mentioned, oh, okay, the outlet is 50 feet away.
Right.
You have the right amount of extension for that, or even not that, but a place you've been to a couple times, and then you see some footage on here of how other DJs set up, and you're like, oh, right. I never thought of that. They're positioned in a perfect place.
That's true.
When I arrived at the venue, there was a table already set up. It was off in the corner, angled at a corner, instead of being front and center in the room, basically on the dance floor. So you get perspectives like, oh, well, it was done that way with this particular DJ, and that worked out fine. So now you have a better idea the next time you walk into a facility. You could request the same. So
right.
But
it's always great to see other people set up. We, you know, as DJs, we never get to see other guys working. We
Right.
pass each other in the hall sometimes, but yeah, it's a good resource. It's an excellent job.
And just thinking about some of those really complex rooms that you're going into, there's a number of different locations, and some are very complex and others are very simple.
Mm-hmm.
What are some challenging rooms that you've performed at that, you know, require a lot of time and care in setting up because of the setup for the venue?
I think a couple that come to mind are the Branford House on the UConn campus up there, and maybe Wadsworth Mansion. Although they're not, you know, big properties, they're very similar. Like if you've been to any of them, you've been to those.
Oh yeah, I performed at both, and they're very similar.
Yeah, they really are.
You have that main room and then the two side rooms.
Right.
So it's multiple setups for that, and you have to go wireless or just have some, you know, long cables for your speakers, basically to get the job done there.
Yeah, I mean, that's challenging because you're putting sound in a lot of rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Recently had a bride that wanted sound even in the restrooms there. So I'm really? Contemplating, which I thought was kind of a cool idea, so that, you know, people really won't miss any announcements. But, you know, it is a challenge when you have to start running wireless or wired cables. I mean, sometimes it's fun. Other times you miss the easy setup where you can just roll in through a door, put your gear on the table, and start working, or your stand.
And there's other places too, venues that have stairs and or second floor, and you don't have an elevator option. So
I try to avoid those.
Yeah, I know. I do at all costs myself, but sometimes if you're just performing at a venue for that first time, that's why it's good to know and have that idea, either that floor plan or some video that's shared. At least you have a sense, okay, great, well, I have some stairs to climb, or I don't, and can I bring a cart? How's that going to work?
Yeah, well, that's why it's important that more people put some content up on those pages.
Yeah.
You know, all you can do is help your fellow professional.
Right. So let's talk about an event. Tell me about a wedding you've done in the last couple months, one that's really stood out to you. And if you could walk us through that, love to hear it.
I'm trying to think. Probably the biggest wedding I've done so far this year was up in the Society Room in January.
Nice.
Which is a very cool place. You know, I love that whole downtown vibe. the nostalgia of the place. And it was challenging because, I work alone, but if it's a lot of things I need to bring, I'll bring an assistant. So that night I brought my son, and we did photo booth, lighting, DJ setup. And I thought that, being in the middle of freezing weather, right after the holidays, people might not be into maybe partying right away, but it was, I don't know, it stood out. It's just a very fun group, very fun wedding. They loved, and I was worried about the photo booth, taken away from the dance floor, but the way we had it set up is they had to actually walk across the dance floor to get to the photo booth.
That's good.
So psychologically, I got them out there.
Yeah, that's great.
It was just a really, I can't describe why, sometimes you can play great music and they're not dancing that as well, but I could have put on a TV commercial and they probably would have. I wish I could take credit. It was just a really good group. They were very welcoming to whatever I played.
It's interesting. Big Daddy and one of our other episodes mentioned you get to a certain point where you're bringing the party early, right? And then it's up to them at that point.
Yeah. So, yeah. You never give up, because if you give up, the party's over anyway. Yeah. So even if they're not responding, Big Daddy is like a god to me. And I watched him one night and some of the stuff he was doing, and I was like, aren't you going to wait till they're done? Isn't that how it's supposed to go? You're supposed to let them eat. And he's like, he just hit him hard.
Yeah.
And I don't think I hit him quite as hard as him, but I try to keep it. I've upped my game watching him. I just mesmerized. So.
Yeah. He's amazing. I met him in April 2015 and in contact with him ever since, and always ask him about questions and when I need advice about anything.
I love watching people that do. I think I have that on my Facebook page. I just love watching people do what they do good.
Yeah.
No
matter what, you could only learn from it, and you learn, okay, that's not something I would do, or this is something I'd love to do in a different way, and put a different spin on it and make it your own too.
True.
You're constantly growing as a professional that way.
Like you and Sean, you both are great singers. I couldn't forget it. No way. I couldn't sing it.
You know what's interesting though, and I would, as much as I would love to sing, like I know Sean does that and has a lot of fun with that, I feel almost uncomfortable doing that. Like I've done it a couple times at events, and I almost feel to the point like, am I kind of stepping on anyone's toes, or am I kind of more just entertaining? And it's hard to get out of that mindset and just say, okay, it is probably okay to do this, but. And then again, I'm thinking like it could be just one couple that's not cool with this idea at all. And if I surprise them and do something like this, they'll be like, what the hell is he doing?
Well, that says a lot about you, that you're thinking ahead to how the couple's going to react to it, as opposed to just getting out there and just going, well, we'll see. I'll just do it. Yeah,
I think it's important. It's just like knowing your couple. So if you're talking with them in advance, you get to know them as people, then you could kind of feel it out a little bit, just like the music when you're reading the dance floor a little bit. But I'd love to, because I love music and I love performing and singing. So to be able to incorporate that into what I do, because I can do it, I want to find a good way to do it and make it positive, where I'm not in the spotlight like Big Daddy's not when he does it, but he is in the same sense. He's performing and it works for him, and people know him for that too. That's the type of thing that he does, and very well. So I don't know. I'm a little reluctant to do it, but all the same, I'd love to as well.
You might have to test the waters with it with a couple. Ask them permission first.
Right.
Try it, and that could be your niche.
Yeah, possibly. We'll see.
I had talent like that, I would somehow use it.
Carlos Ribeiro and I were having a conversation about that, and just trying to do something. So why aren't you singing? Why aren't you singing? He says, and then I told him the same reason. He's like, even if he's like, I can't even sing, and I'm singing along with. So for you DJs that are looking for content, add some content and ask to become a member of each of these DJ venue setups in various states. And like I said, we'll be happy to get you on there and hook you up as an admin if you want to start adding your own content and get these things going, because quite a few of them don't have anything yet, and we would like to get some content on there. Terry, thanks so much for coming on and all that you do in the industry and
Thank you.
to help other DJs. And I really appreciate it. I'm sure others do as well.
Great.
Stay tuned next week for episode 16. Thanks again, Harry. Take care, everyone.
My pleasure. Thanks, Jim.